Welcome to the Canadian Grand Prix weekend in Montreal. Underneath me, it looks like it does for practice 2. So there's some inclement weather on the way. That inclement weather is rain at the beginning of the race, but hopefully it dries up earlier than is indicated there. Otherwise, sadness shall be had all around the board. And unfortunately, we probably won't be able to make it 4 wins in a row. Yes, we've won 3 races in a row. We're on fire right now. China, Miami and Imola. We did have to get a little bit lucky in a couple of those races, but don't care. It's going to come against us as much as it comes for us. So for the time being, we are 14 points off Charlie at the top of the table, but we are very much in this title fight at present. Canada's actually, I don't even know how we tend to do in Canada. Canada last year, we got a P5, and the year before, a P10, and 14th. As ever, it's going to be a bit of setup tweaking, but we can get a bit more out of this. Let's see if we can have a 4th podium in a row. 4th win in the row will be unreal, but 4th podium in the row is probably doable. Let's see what we can do. Drop the video a like, subscribe to the channel, check the Journeyman save if you missed any of that so far. Very much enjoying that save, and of course the RTG on the main channel. But for now, I'm going to go to practice, earn resource points that I will never be able to spend, and then we'll go to qualifying. Resource points acquired. But just because we can't spend any of the resource points we earn in practice at this moment in time doesn't mean it's not worth going to practice, because setup tweaks can make or break an entire Grand Prix weekend regardless of how good or bad your car currently is. And the car felt pretty rough, pretty ropey with the original setup we were using. We tweaked it and we found tenths of a second with the setup tweaks. So in the dry, we could be pretty competitive. In the intermediate conditions, it's probably going to be a little less obvious as to whether we are or are not actually any good. I'm going to put fresh power components into the car for this weekend because I very much would like to be at the best, at our best in a straight line, really. So gearbox, turbo and ICE are all going to be completely fresh for this round of the championship. To qualifying we go. Kind of the go-to default at the minute, because of the way the R&D situation is, anywhere in the top 5 is a good qualifying session. Quickest run to the line, we're probably going to need it. That wasn't a great lap. Holy moly! By the skin of my tiny little teeth. 15th. We are through to Q2, but only just. 1 minute 7.9. And a very late 1 minute 7.9 as well. By 6 milliseconds, I knocked Daniel Ricciardo out of quali. Oh, that was too close for comfort. We know we can go a couple of tenths quicker. I definitely don't have a 1 minute 7.3 in me, so that top 5 might be a bit difficult, but top 10 is doable, especially if I maximise my battery usage properly throughout the lap and don't drive like an absolute titch like I did in that session. It's going to be a better lap time than Q1 for sure. It's a 1:07.4. Alright, that was significantly better. Second. Okay. There was still a little mistake around the hairpin there, so there might be another tenth in it, but I presume Charles is going to find another half second somewhere. But, alright, I'll take it. Didn't check actually to see who went out in Q1, but both McLarens are through there, both Mercedes. Lance is out in the Aston Martin. That's a surprise actually, because Lance Stroll's been pretty strong recently. Max is through, obviously both Ferrari are through as well. One of the Hasses. No real major shocks there, I don't think. Everybody you would expect to be through is through, apart from Stroll. But Stroll out in Q2 isn't necessarily a major shock, is it? I'm going to need to replicate that lap to be anywhere close to the top 5, though, I think, in Q3. And I fucked it already. And I fucked it again. This is a very poor lap. This is going to be 10th, pretty sure. It's really, really, really poor lap. Lewis with a 107 flat. It's a wall. God, I'm so bad! Oh, mate! 107.9, that was awful. Absolutely god-awful. 10th. Yeah, I deserved it. I absolutely deserved it. Worst lap of the weekend. Hopefully... some penalties in there. Lewis on pole, Lando in second. I don't believe there's any penalties in there. It was Lewis was right behind us in the championship, and then we're behind Charles Leclerc. Leclerc was 6th, he's now 5th, so that says penalty for someone, because I will now be 9th. And Tsunoda is 10th. Who was it that took a penalty? Piastri, maybe? Yeah, there we go. Oscar Piastri in 13th. So Piastri takes a pen, we get a little bit of jump up to 9th. Charles Leclerc just 4 spots in front of me.
Here we go. I know what you
the
can
rain
do.
is going to ease, hopefully halfway through. Although, look at that one in the middle. It's like, it's going to get heavier and then ease. That's going to be really awkward. It's recommending 9 laps worth of extra fuel. Yikes. We'll go for 8.5 laps, but you're at full throttle for quite a lot of this Grand Prix, so regardless of the wet weather, so it is going to drink quite a bit of fuel. Oh, P9 to question mark is the question here, because it depends how early that dry weather comes, and if we can get the switchover right and avoid a double stack like we had at Imola with the safety car on that occasion, but the weather here. We know if I can put the lap together, I've got some pace in the car. It's just a case whether I can put the laps together or not.
Superb parking there, mate. Let's make sure we get the edge on the surrounding drivers as the lights go out.
I've been trying to time switching up to seconds to try and dull the wheel spin in the last few races, and I've not gotten it right at all. There, I tried it again. Just as I keep timing it just as it changes to second. I want to change to second, and then I inadvertently change to third. We've been able to lunge up the inside there, and they've gone 2 or 3 wide around turn 1 there, and we've made a few places there. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact with Pierre Gasly, but that is 9th to 7th. Brakes, 9th to 7th at the start. Oh my god, I am a snake. Yeah, no, we're all right, we're recovered. Jeez Louise, that was crazy. It just went left, right, and I got no forward motion whatsoever. We just went sideways. I don't believe we got any damage from the contact with Pierre. No, we didn't. There was a lot of wheel spin there. My rear tyres were already at 1%. Maybe, I'm starting to feel like maybe I should have put a little bit more front wing in for the wet conditions. But regardless, we've been able to make a couple of positions, and hopefully with good battery usage we'll be able to manage the gap. I'll ask about the weather.
Inters look like the best tyre for now.
Didn't ask that. I asked what the weather's doing, but fair enough. That says that it's probably going to be wet weather for a little while. Hopefully the dry weather comes before the halfway point, but I don't hold out hope. We might be like 40 to 50 or so before we're actually switching off the intermediate tyre. Alternatively, it could be lap 20 or so. We'll wait and see. Leclerc's first or second. Charles Leclerc had an unbelievable start.
Experience some understeer now that you're in the wake of the car ahead. Try to get past as soon as possible.
It's a Ferrari 1-2 out of nowhere. Charles qualified 6th, started 5th. I mean, I made a couple of positions at the start as well, but DL Charlie. Give us a chance of trying to stay with you in the World Championship, will you? I mean, if I hadn't qualified so poorly, then I'd have been closer up there as well, wouldn't I? Sometimes, Ches, you just got to look at yourself and be like, maybe I'm the issue. Got a bit of a run on Gasly then through the chicane, but he's got better straight line speed than me. Purple sector 3. Our tyre wear was supposedly pretty good around here, although whether that is the case in the wet as well, I don't know. But nearly 20% better tyre wear according to the race strategy practice programme. So that hopefully will come into effect even more so with the wet tyres, to be fair, although I am sliding a lot at the rear with just some average driving of my own, so the wet weather is probably more of a leveller than it is something that plays even more so into my hands. Gasly's losing a bit of time on those in front as well now. That top 5 is starting to get away. Really, I could just do with the dry weather, to be honest, because I'm not going to be able to do much in the wet. I'm just kind of holding station and hoping to still be within touching distance by the time the changeover comes. Yellow flag behind, that's fine, that's not going to cause any issues. Someone's retiring, but who, I don't know. Looks like it might be... No, I've no idea, actually. Maybe someone just went wide? Oh, no, there is a... Yeah, Zhou Guanyu's retiring. VSC, okay.
Slow down. Your delta's negative, which means you're going too fast.
Did he spin?
Reduce your pace.
He's not moving, so presumably just his car gave up. I was hoping to be in a position to get a bit of a jump on Pierre at the green flag, but just at the wrong part of the circuit, really. It's cost us a little bit of time to Norris in P5. Lost about an extra half a second. Thanks to that VSC and not quite being in the right place at the right time when it ended.
And we're still happy that we're on the right tyres at the moment.
I agree. Obviously not going to be going to dry tyres anytime. Oh, that'll be why then.
Clear it up in time, and there are so far no plans for a safety car.
Maybe Zhou Guanyu lost some bodywork as he was retiring, or someone lost some bodywork trying to avoid Zhou Guanyu as he was retiring, and that's what caused the safety car, maybe. Who knows? Regardless, Zhou's out. We're still 7th. And just like in Japan, stuck behind Pierre Gasly. Well, this time he doesn't have wing damage.
Looks like it's going to be getting much lighter over the next 10 to 15
minutes. There's still quite a while though. I think I'm getting more and more of a tyre advantage at the minute because our tyre wear is pretty decent around here.
Right, we need to get past here. Use overtake.
I know we need to get past. It's finding the opportunity to actually do so is the issue at the minute. He's slow in the braking zones, which is odd, because in the traction zones he's still pretty good. So he's struggling to slow the car down, which is not necessarily what I would presume would be a symptom of poor tyre wear. Because it's going to be the rears that go, but his traction is still good coming out of corners. So I'm a bit perplexed at the minute as to why Pierre Gasly's struggling in certain areas. Every time I try and get a bit of a run on him somewhere, he then gets a traction zone to just burst away from me again. Do I use a bit of battery here? I'm gonna. Oh, stop. Oh, I couldn't get it stopped in time. Oh, that was an opportunity. If I could have just got the car to stop in a straight line, we might have been able to take P6 there. If we had it done, I'd have been very, very happy indeed and tried to disappear down the road to catch the McLaren, but couldn't quite get it stopped in time. Now we've got to go and catch Pierre back up again. He was pretty nowhere earlier, but now I'm starting to lose pace on Gasly as well. Maybe my tyres are starting to get a bit too worn, and they're starting to come back to them. I don't know. Teammate in the pits.
Okay, George is coming in for his stop.
Okay. What are they changing to? Another set of inters? Wets.
You hit that target.
They're going to full wets.
For the rest of this race. Okay,
that's why I'm losing time. Some are making the decision to go to full wets. Some are not making the decision to go to full wets. I don't know as they'll gain a whole pit stop, will they? I know the rain has gotten heavier, but it's going to get lighter very quickly. It's not going to be that heavy for that long. I think we can probably just hang this out and we'll be okay. We're up to 5th. I think George has made the wrong call there. Both Ferrari, Fernando Alonso and Lando Norris still out on the intermediate tyre.
The situation's an interesting one, but I think the right call is to stick with what
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Gasly boxed and George boxed. We've gained a couple of positions. Intriguingly, but right behind me, Max did not box as well. He stayed out too. It's a gamble either way, really. It's a gamble to go to the wets if it's going to be wet enough, long enough. And it's a gamble to stay on the inters because it might get a little bit too wet. And one of the Ferrari is in here. As is, oh wow.
Norris is in the pits.
Myself and Charles Leclerc are the only two to stay out here now. And I still feel kind of okay, you know. Because they're only going to have to change back to inters before the dry weather comes. We know that the rain is going to ease up relatively quickly after it gets heavier. I think Charles and I have made the right call here in staying out. Because we're effectively going to save 2 pit stops. They're going to box for wets, and then surely they're going to have to box again to go back to inters before they go to dries. And there's still very much a racing line here, so as long as we can keep it in the right place on the track. Charles is boxing as well. As long as we can keep it in the right place on the track, I don't think there's any need to box right now for wet tyres. I'm happy with how things are. If this racing line disappears, then perhaps we might have to consider it.
So your ERS is running a bit low.
But for the time being,
ERS mode in the MFD
I'm happy.
For more conservative burn rate, or you might want to try some lifting or gentle braking to recharge.
Charles has lost a couple of positions. So the wet tyre does seem to maybe be faster. But not by much. Not by enough to warrant boxing for it now, I don't think.
The rain's getting lighter now, but it's going to take a while for the track to dry out.
The gap to Lewis has basically been the same. Have we just been potentially handed the chance of a race victory? Yeah, the question is now, with the wets being the slightly better tyre at this stage, but the track probably going to start drying soon, is it worth, like, will they go straight from wets to dries? If it dries super quickly, then potentially. If they do box for another set of inters, do I stay on my worn set of inters? Or do I box for a fresh set of inters as well to try and maintain the gap? Or do I hang out on my worn set of inters, hope that it dries quickly and I save another pit stop? Really awkward situation here, but we certainly haven't been hard pressed into feeling like we've made the wrong decision to not box for wets. Because at the minute, Lewis has only gained like 2 seconds on me in 5 or 6 laps or more. So I can't say as I'm definitely on the wrong tyre. The wet is the better tyre, but only because my inters are worn now. If I had fresh inters on, I think I'd probably still be quicker. This is given the situation, you can see visually that the rain is easing off as well. This is now our race to throw away. We might well be going for 4 wins in a row here. Depending on what pace is like in the dry. The gaps are starting to open up again behind now. Even through the course of me talking through this highlight, you can see how visually the rain has very much eased. It's almost stopped now.
It's hard to say if inters or wets are better right now.
Oh, right. Inters. My worn inters are definitely better than their wets right now. The gaps are opening up again. So now I'm curious to know whether they go back to another set of inters or whether they just stay on those wets until we go dry. From here, though, it's definitely still another two-stop. A stop for dries and then another stop after that. I'll go to hards next, just in case they make it to the end, but I don't think they will. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a hard medium or a medium. It might even be a medium to the end from here. Probably a hard medium, I would imagine. But gaps are opening up behind now as well. Lewis was 6.8, he's now 7.6. He's lost about a second on this last lap alone as the weather eases, and we're definitely back in intermediate weather conditions now. The rain's probably going to stop in the next 5 laps, and we may well be on dry tyres by lap 30. If we get to lap 30 before dry tyres, then it's probably hards to the end, I would imagine. Fastest lap of the race. It could be any number of things. Some of it could be traction related. Right,
George
highlight.
is in the pits. He's in the pits now.
George in the box. It looks like they're going to go back to inters. I presume they're going back to inters anyway, because it's definitely not dry weather running right now, and we've got enough time in the pocket here that if they box for another set of inters and start to chunk the time away from me, then I'm going to be able to box to cover them. 10 more minutes of rain, then whack on a set of hard tyres, and Bob's your uncle. Hopefully, easy victory. Unless you want me to box for another... To be fair, this is because of the strategy we were on, not because of the conditions changing. The strategy was inters till 23-ish, and then inters again, and then inters again. It was a 2-stop strategy with 3 sets of inters.
Behind, 29.4 seconds.
But I might not have to stop again here. Leclerc's kept going as well. So keep an eye on the gap to Russell. That's going to dictate whether we stop again or not. Gap to Russell's currently 29.5. If that just starts to tumble,
keep an eye on your distance,
then we box.
Speed limit line as you approach, and make sure
if it's manageable, then we stay out until the rain stops and go to hard tyres. But I don't know how long it's going to be till we switch to dries.
Are showing a clear patch on its way. There's about 10 more minutes of this rain. Inters look like the best tyre for now.
And Lewis is much quicker. I'm going to box to... Oh, do I box to cover? I'm really not sure. Lewis is going... I don't know. At this stage, I don't know. Because there's a 26-second gap there. And if it's going to be dry in 7 laps, I'm better off staying out. But if it's not going to be dry tyre running for another... If it's not going to be dry weather running for another 12 laps, then I'm going to want to box.
George is really pushing now.
Charles is in.
Fastest lap of the race.
I'm going to stay out, I think, and hope that we can wait for the dry weather. And my inters are so worn that they're probably half slick by now, which is actually going to weirdly help a little bit in these conditions. The phrase is they're slick to mediates, and the gap to Lewis is still maintaining itself. Really, they're only 3 or 4 tenths a lap faster than me at the minute.
For now, keep taking care of them.
I'm happy. I'm really happy. We wait for the hard tyre to come out when the dry weather crossover comes, and then, as far as I can make out, we drive to an easy victory. Unless they're that much faster than me at the end of the race in the dry conditions, but they're not going to be that much faster than me, are they? I don't anticipate them being that much faster than me. DRS enabled. That's a big sign. It's still, the rain is still falling, but DRS has been enabled. Is it? They're in. Everyone's in. Dry tyre time.
Stopping this lap.
Dry tyre time. Even though the rain is still falling, it looks like it's time for dry tyres. We'll ask about the weather one more time.
So the rain should be stopping anytime soon. So we should see a drop.
And we'll double check what those guys are changing to, and they're going to the hard tyre. So we've made the right call.
Line starting to form fairly rapidly.
It is time to switch. Well, dry tyres, please, even though it's still raining a little bit. Quick stop, please. Thank you. Oh, we've had a trouble trying to fit the front right tyre.
There seems to have been a bit of a problem removing the left front wheel. We need to try and put that behind us, though.
That was
the race strong.
A monstrously poor pit stop. It just wouldn't even let me go once all tyres were on.
George is coming in for his stop.
I've lost like 15 seconds there.
Let's go.
Now there's another retiree around this corner. Someone's engine's gone here as well. It's Alpine. That's a Williams. Teo Pourchaire is out. There he is at the end of the thing. Oh, I can't believe that.
Green flag.
It's cost me a lot of time. The gap was 23-ish prior to that pit stop. It's now 17. Cost me like 6 to 7 seconds, that pit stop. Well, I think we're lap 30 to the end then. These hard tyres. Ferrari double stacked. Charles is in 6th right now.
Let's go and switch over if you need to.
Putting intermediates on, what are we talking about? What a silly thing to say. Charles Leclerc will take it. But at least we got it back for a moment. Charlie's been saying fastest laps left, right and centre. Yes, he hasn't taken it on this occasion. There's only 1.5 seconds or so separating Lewis Hamilton and in 2nd and George Russell in 5th at the moment. Charles in 6th has been closing that gap the entire stint. And as they are quite close together, just at the moment by about 1/10 or so, Fernando is within DRS range of Lewis. As soon as Fernando, or if Fernando loses that DRS range, then Lando might have him. Lewis has dropped off me a little bit. Did drop to about 12 something, now we're back into the 13s. Our tyre wear is going to be better than theirs. I'm hoping, I'm anticipating, judging by the race practice programme. So, as the race goes on, we should, in theory, just have more and more of a tyre advantage. Hoping that that gap will, perhaps from now, minus any mistakes from yours truly, do nothing but get bigger. Tyre wear's fine. 11% on the rears. I can't remember what lap we put these on, in all honesty. But they have been absolutely fine the entire time. The gaps to those behind have come down, and they were coming down a little bit quicker. But every now and again, Fernando Alonso will have a run at Lewis Hamilton, and he'll have to go a bit defensive into the chicane or at the end of a DRS section, into turn 1 perhaps, and it means that I get a bit of a reprieve and the gap opens up again. They are still slowly closing in. It was 23 prior to the stops to go to the dry tyres. We then obviously had a bit of well, not even a bit, a very dodgy stop. And then the gap was 17.5 or so. They've closed that by another 5 seconds since the stop. And if everyone was running within 2 seconds of each other, but not challenging one another for position, then I think Lewis might well actually have come close to catching me by now. But because he's got drivers behind him that he's having to look in his mirrors constantly at, I'm able to just... Where are you going, Ches? That is a corner cut. I'm able to just keep my eye on the road in front of me, not worry about anything behind, and keep pumping in lap times that are half decent. The extra tyre advantage helps, but our tyre wear is slightly better than theirs, even though their tyre wear is... Jeez, I'm doing the whole not concentrating on my driving and talking too much thing. But the fact that their tyre wear is slightly worse than mine is helping. Although, that said, like I say, if they were in free air, they would be quicker than me. I'm not great at Canada, as you've quite clearly been able to see through the course of these highlights. It's not a track we have great success at previously. We've had quite a bit of misery at this circuit before, to be fair. And I've been driving so poorly that the gap's come down by another second through the course of this lap. So if you don't mind, I'm going to go and concentrate on my driving again. Hope that there's no safety car between now and the end, because then my win is definitely going to be in question. But there's still, as we cross the line, 20 more laps to go. Do not rule out Lewis Hamilton and co catching me before the end. The gap now to Lewis is under 10, as we're on lap 59 of 70. And Charles Leclerc has officially caught the train behind. 6th place Charles Leclerc, now right with George Russell. I believe, as it stands, I might go top of the Drivers' Championship with this win. If I win, should I say. So, especially with the extra point for fastest lap, if we're able to hold it. So hopefully, we should be doing enough here to move above Charles. I'll go from, I was on 113. He was on, oh, yellow flag in front. That's going to be a William. No, that's an Alpine retiring. No safety car, please. Do not. No. He's going into the pits. Thank God for that. I think his engine blew up and he's gone into the pits to retire. He might have a puncture, perhaps, the Alpine. Let's have a look. Yeah, rear left puncture. Rear left puncture for the Alpine. That's what the yellow flag is for. His rear left tyre is deflated there. You can see it hanging off the rim a bit. Rear left puncture. So thankfully no safety car. Otherwise the win would have been definitely in question. But I'm on 113. Charles was on 127. So, oh God. For P6, Charles would get 8 points and go to 135.
11.5 seconds.
And I would get 26 for this and go to 139. So as it stands, I will be top of the championship by 6 points at the checkered flag. Charles needs to get into 4th. Charles needs to get into 4th to be drawing the championship at 139 points each, because he'd get 12 points. So if Charles can make his way to 4th, he will maintain joint top of the World Championship status. If he finishes any lower than 4th, which currently he is, then I will go top of the World Championship. Whether we can stay there or not is obviously a different matter, but there is the chance. And so far, we've really taken advantage of the chance that's been handed to us today. It's not very often you'll be able to just manage the tyres in weather conditions like that, to be able to actually stick it out, hang it out, save 2 bloody pit stops, and go from 7th to 1st by 25 seconds or whatever it was at the time. Might have even been as close as maybe 27, 28 or even 29. Every now and then the gap goes back up again and it hovers and then it comes down again. So I think they're either saving fuel or saving ERS and then utilising it, or they're battling for a bit and then not battling for a bit. We have less than 1 lap's worth of extra fuel at the minute. I'm using about 0.1 laps worth of extra fuel a lap. So at the moment, when we get to lap 70, I should have about 0.1 laps worth of extra fuel as we cross the line. I don't think I'm going to have to save any fuel, but it is going to be close and to the wire. It's Probably going to be very close. I might have to not use battery for a few laps. Might whack it in hot lap for the battery. No. I thought maybe whack it in hot lap, but don't use overtake. But that's probably still going to use more fuel. We might just have to run a couple of laps with the battery in none. And run slightly lower revs. Or a few short shifts just to save a little bit of fuel. We lost a P4 to a P6 in Australia because of low fuel mode. I would be significantly more devastated if we were to lose a win because of low fuel mode. Right, so as we cross the line, we have 0.5 laps worth of 0.49 laps worth of fuel remaining and 5 laps to complete. We will take this as the judge of how much fuel we're using per lap at this stage of the race. Holy! And then, my God, it's all right, don't panic. And then we'll figure out how much fuel we're going to need to save. That was probably the biggest stop talking, keep driving moment we've had for a while. That was close! Times 2. Thankfully, we only lost about 3 seconds, not anymore, but, oh my, yeah, sorry, bye, I'm concentrating now. Bollocks to fuel, we'll save some of it, but at the minute, if I keep talking to you, I'm going to put it in a wall, and I can't really afford to do that. We have indeed just started the final lap of the race. Fuel is going to be very tight, but okay. 4.7 seconds to get behind. You've seen a couple of the mishaps. Mainly they've only really happened when I've been talking to camera. It's a difficult circuit for traction anyway. I have to save fuel into the hairpin as well here, I think. Whack it into none for the battery too. And we should be good. I hope. God, this is close. Yeah, we'll be fine. I'm going to ease off. Bring it home, gents. Bring it home. It's just as well that someone mentioned fuel 20 laps ago, though. Nice. Otherwise, we wouldn't have paid any attention to that whatsoever.
On to the next one.
Lovely drive. On to the next one. 4 in a bloody row, lads. 4 in a row. That one particularly gifted to us. Very much so. I did not have the pace to win that race. It only transpired because of the wet weather and us hanging it out and everyone else going to wets and then coming back to inters. Otherwise, we might not have made the top 5, quite frankly. You saw how they were starting to eke away from us a little bit whilst we were stuck behind Pierre Gasly. It's not 3 wins in a row, actually, Naomi. It's 4 wins in a row, thank you very much. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. And we are officially top of the World Drivers' Championship. We have a championship leader, and it's not Charles Leclerc for the first time in about 4 years in game. Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's official now. We are in a title fight. And I will take Charlie all the way to the end of Abu Dhabi if I have to. But we are going to challenge as best as we possibly can for this World Drivers title. Would be a hell of a way to end F1 24 content if we can. We've got the Spanish Grand Prix up next. Which really isn't. It's where the AI traditionally have always been very, very strong. I don't know whether to go with a harder or just a balanced tyre allocation here. I'm probably going to lean just towards the balanced and have the one set of mediums and 2 sets of one set of hards and 2 sets of mediums. But it's a track that I'm not. I mean, I say this almost every bloody video, don't I? It's a track that I'm not great at. You end up wondering, Ches, is there a track that you are actually any good at or feel like you're any good at? Not many. China. And even then, it's only because the AI aren't as strong there, not because I'm actually that good, for whatever reason. But, oof, it's fully dry, other than qualifying, which is fully bloody wet. It's pouring it down Saturday afternoon, but Sunday afternoon, thankfully, dry. Look at that! P1 by 4 points from Charles Leclerc. Then it's 2 Ferrari. Then Alonso, Lando and George in P6 currently. Well then, 4 straight dubs, ladies and gentlemen. Charles Leclerc did 4 straight dubs last season. Just a couple of, basically nearly won, bloody 7 in a row, didn't he? P2 in Imola when I won. Actually, no, that was last year. Who won in, oh yeah, I won in Imola last year. I thought I did. And so I stopped Charles winning 7 in a row last year. We won't do that. I'm definitely not going to win in Spain. But we are in with a shout of fighting for this World Championship. And as long as we're there or thereabouts, you can bet your bottom dollar we're going to throw everything at it in our first season at Mercedes. It would be lovely to win a World Championship. I don't know as I've won a World Drivers' Championship in an F1 game for a few games. We've won a couple of Constructors, but a World Drivers' Championship has been a long time coming. So, fingers crossed. That's all for this one, though. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the Canadian Grand Prix. Hopefully you'll join me for the Spanish Grand Prix. Drop the video a like, subscribe to the channel, come and join me on stream and enjoy these live, and I'll see you next time.